Okay, I'm doing an add-on video. I'm here at Captain D's fast food restaurant, and I am pretty much a targeted individual by the government, law enforcement, a sheriff that I encountered as a neighbor. I purchased a home, a house, and some land right next door to. I purchased it off a sheriff's auction. So the Tulsa County Sheriff was well aware that I bought and paid for that property, and how I bought and paid for it. I was in a car accident. I received a settlement, and I bought a house and land with it. I was a victim in a automobile accident, and Farmers Insurance settled out of court with me. I had to go into surgery. So I took the money and I bought a house and 4.6 acres of land out in the country north in Collinsville. Right after I move in, I see my next door neighbor rolling in my driveway. Tulsa County Sheriff, and her dad, both sheriffs. I think he might have been retired at the time, but she was not retired. Anyway, that's when all began. It's like that house was a setup. The sheriff's office was aware that I paid cash for that house and paid for it in full without having to make payments, because I had a huge sum of money from my settlement. Well, there were drugs planted in that house. Right after I went to the closing table, I had the keys to my new house. Drove excited about my new house and land and my new dream that ended up being a nightmare. I went to go unlock the door to enter my new house for the first time, and it was already unlocked. All the doors were unlocked, all the windows were unlocked, and that was the first red flag. The second red flag was whenever I stayed there that night. I had a serious bout of vertigo while I was sleeping, and it woke me up. It shook my whole body. I couldn't understand. I actually thought the house was haunted, but I almost went blind. I did go blind. I went gray in my vision and was in pretty bad shape. It was very frightening. I'm actually patrolling right now for law enforcement when and where they will show their presence, because they do every time I go out. But I've had that bout of vertigo about 4 different occasions. The last one was like a couple of years ago at my new home. But anyway, after I ran out of that house, I found drugs planted there. I searched the house, found drugs planted, and I threw them in the fire of the trash I was burning and all my possessions that I was burning, because I was being followed around by law enforcement. federal law enforcement in unmarked cars that would scare you half to death to look at it, especially when you see 20 of them. All mirrored out, antennas all over them, and they all looked the same. Trailing me around everywhere I went. That was in 2001, right after I purchased that land and house out there. And it was very disturbing because I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. But also I knew that somebody planted drugs in that house because I had drug enforcement agents all over me. So like I said, I burned all my possessions that weren't very important, absolutely important to me. Packed my stuff, moved back in with my dad, and I rented my house because I wasn't quite sure what to do at that point. So I leased the house for 6 years, and then I sold it. I purchased a house here in Tulsa, the one I have now, that is a barber shop. And guess what? The same thing here. Right after I did the closing on this house in Tulsa, that same day I went to the house with my key, looking forward to putting a little barber shop in this house on the corner of 5th Street and Sheridan. Had a bright future again. Went to unlock that door for the first time, and guess what? The doors were already unlocked again. So my house is on the market, or going on the market. And I'm learning that I have to leave this state altogether. These people have done, law enforcement has organized framework after framework, deploying drug addicts, confidential criminal informants, deployed them with enforcement into my life. We've got a vehicle over here on the right, just parked, sitting there. I pay attention to all my surroundings. I have been sensitized to harassment for a very long time, over 20 years. And every time law enforcement has tried to frame me for crimes that I don't commit, I've actually started reporting them. I was scared to do that for the longest, and I'm still not I'm still uncomfortable with it. So I only report when it's absolutely necessary. Whenever it's just extremely something that's going to put me in danger, like having people come into my shop, pay me with marked bill, come in my shop to get their hair done, and then pay me with marked bills. Like when they threw a billfold full of cash in the parking lot on my way back from the store, the same path I walked to the store on my way back. Nobody there. 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes from that time, I walked and no bill there. And on my return back, there was a billfold placed in my path with over $600 in it and 2 credit cards and drugs. There was a small bag of drugs, of course. Law enforcement was hoping that I would do the drugs and go blow the money, which I don't use drugs. I'm clean. I live a clean life. It's strange behavior from this restaurant. If this is what I'm hungry for, I probably shouldn't even be ordering food from here. But I'm going to ask the question. This guy's disappeared to the back. I get the weirdest behavior whenever I go through. I'm on a network. People that work at restaurants, fast food restaurants, are actually involved with targeting. Not all of them, but some of them. They get the heads up that you're coming through the fast food line. They act very strange. They disappear, like this guy went to the back, and what is he doing? Like, we get strange treatment.
Alexa, 2 chicken?
Yeah. Do you have the same cook here that you've had for a while? Because the last 2 times I came through here, my skin was actually burning from something that I ate here twice.
We pretty much have the same people we've always had. Yeah.
The same cook? I'm just recording this because,
Yeah.
I don't want to have that issue again.
Okay, well, everything's fresh tonight because we've been really busy. Haven't had time to keep it.
Yeah. It's like there's something added to my food. I don't know that.
Well, then I won't charge you. Since it wasn't good
Okay.
last time. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. Actually giving me my food because of the complaint. But the thing is this going to be Did you give me a bunch of what is it, that white sauce tartar?
3.
Yeah.
How many more you need?
Yeah, just a couple more because I really like it. Please. Thank you, sir. Have a good night. That's kind of nice, but kind of a red flag. He said, I won't charge you for it. So I don't have a receipt for this food I'm about to go home and eat. But I do have this on video. I'm at Captain D's. I just got my meal paid for. Because I explained my skin burning from eating there. What the deal is you're on a network. Taco Bueno. Last 2 times I've tried to go there, they go and put a orange cone in front of the drive-thru whenever I'm on my way there to get tacos. By the time I get there, they've got an orange cone placed to the drive-thru and the door's locked. At 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. Okay. I got the green light to go. So I go to the door at Taco Bueno. They're like, we're closed. And it felt personal, like it was directed towards me, but you never know with COVID going on, so I just accepted it and went to Taco Bell. And on my way back from Taco Bell, I drove back by. They were open. The drive-thru was open. They were back open for business. But they explained to me that they were closed. things that you try to do every day. I mean, and this is all kind of organized. It's organized crime. And they've got you on a network, and you've got a network of people abusing you, and your everyday steps, everywhere you go, has been illustrated on a network. You're not going to ride your car up my ass. Now I've got somebody driving real close to my car behind me. And they said something before they pulled out. You've got pedestrians, you've got fast food, you've got your medicine. I've heard people that are targeted go to get their medicine. They give the wrong medication. They could kill them. Or they get their medication and it's in capsules. And it makes them sick. Who are you going to call when this happens to you? You're not going to call law enforcement because they already know. It's their instruction that these things are happening to you. If you hit my car, there's going to be a problem. This person finally turned off, but they kept acting like they were going to hit my car. Okay, so I bought a Mountain Dew at this corner stop over here. I thought I was going to have a heart attack after I drank it. Blood pressure skyrocketed. Got here. Some tattooed guy. Was he just in my house? These neighbors live in this house next door. She didn't want to give me her name when she moved in. They bought the house next door. I went over to introduce myself. They were throwing trash in my yard. Throwing their kids' toys in my yard. Throwing plumbing, literally shitty plumbing equipment in my yard. I went over there to nicely have a conversation with her to stay out of my yard. Asked her for her name. And she said, Christina. I said, what is your last name? She said, no, I'm not giving you my last name. We're going to be neighbors. And you're not going to tell me your last name? I said, can you at least give me your phone number so I can call you next time? She gave me her phone number. I did a reverse phone number lookup and I got her last name. I did a background check on her. And they're drug manufacturers. Burglary, drug manufacturing. I didn't know why I do this. Because they can get into my car. They've busted that lock on the back with a screwdriver. Yeah. And they've got charges all over them. They're confidential informants for law enforcement here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma law enforcement placed drug manufacturers. I jump over the fence away from me. This house is paid for. And every home I've owned in this state has had drugs planted, people planted into my life. By law enforcement, drug pushers, none of it made sense. And I really wanted to get to the bottom of it. Tried everything to convince myself that law enforcement was not behind it. I was wrong. They are behind it. Follow the money every time. Now I'm going to try to eat this food that was just given to me by Captain D's restaurant.
Here comes number 3, if you remember, rhyme time.
So I'm going to try to eat this food here. Let's see. Captain D's. Wish me luck. It is 7:19. This is the time. This is in case I end up in the hospital again. Due to, this is the 10th, October 10th, 7:19, gonna eat my dinner. But twice from this restaurant has made me very ill. And I don't mean in a stomach virus kind of way. I mean in a chemical poisoning kind of way. They use some kind of chemical that you can't see, that you can't smell, and you can't taste. But it will burn your body extremely. It'll burn your skin. If anybody's ever taken niacin, it does the same thing. That's actually to clean your system out. But it's like the same experience, the feeling. Your skin burns because whatever chemical, and I do believe it's something that they could spray because it's happened off of sandwiches and potato chips. The type of food that would have to be sprayed on the surface, sprayed. That you can't just add chemicals into like something liquid. But anyway, I'm going to try to eat this dinner and hope for the best. I'll be back with more recordings on organized stalking by criminal informants sent by law enforcement in the state of Oklahoma. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. God bless. Send some prayers my way because God knows I need them.